Good morning, everybody. We have developed the system for the sessions to have three chairmen, one international one French, one from the Young Engineers group. Sofiane is here. I will leave you the chance to present yourself.
And welcome to this conference. I'm Sofiane Amzian. I'm full professor at University of Clermont-Auvergne, at Clermont-Ferrand, the city in the center of France, very close to Lyon. And welcome and thank you.
Sandor, can you please present yourself?
Thank you, Professor. I'm Sandor Solyom. I'm from Budapest as well. I'm actually working with Professor Balázs, finishing up my PhD thesis now, just submitting. The topic is about FRP reinforcement and also involves some other research project in the department. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. To present myself is György Balázs, a professor at the Budapest University of Technology, honorary president of FID. Yes, we can start the first presentation. So our colleague Olexandr Horb was already ready to give his presentation. Please present yourself and start your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, dear colleagues. Today I want to talk about our 10 years work in our university. My name is Olexandr Horb. I work in university in Poltava National University, Poltava Polytechnic, named after Yuri Kondratyuk. With my older colleagues, we work on topic of this presentation during almost 10 years. And it's first my such big presentation, international presentation of results of our researchers. And it's a big honor to show these results on such big symposium. And when many number of my colleagues can see my results and maybe give some advices for next researchers or give some comments to them. Presentation calls as application of bonding concrete to reinforcement using adhesive in steel concrete composite structures. My older colleagues work with steel concrete composite structures during almost 40 years. And on some stage, they have such big problem to how to ensure the joint work of concrete and steel in such type of constructions. We know that in most cases we can use traditional anchoring, traditional external reinforcement or something like this. But it's a very big problem in modern constructions how to get this collaborating, ensuring work for both such different types of materials like steel and concrete. And using researches of our colleagues in polymer composite materials for different adhesives, we check few of them, acrylic and epoxy glues for connecting. And we know that a lot of years our colleagues use different adhesives for connecting steel and concrete in different types of constructions, but for ready concrete block and external or internal reinforcement, or for making some anchoring. But we tried create such types of steel concrete constructions in which we can glue liquid fresh concrete to steel reinforcement. We create main three types of steel concrete composite structures. We can see in left side double T profile, 2 meters along with cavities filled with concrete. Before filling with concrete, we put some glue on steel, and next step was filling cavities with concrete, with gluing fresh liquid concrete. We don't know which result we can get, and it was first research of this type of researching. We didn't have anyone in the world practice example of gluing fresh concrete to steel reinforcement. Most good result we get when we glue concrete to profiled decking. We get good results. We will see them on next slides. And third type of constructions which we produce were short columns, which created by concrete block and steel external reinforcement. Sizes, dimensions of all constructions you can see on this slide. We experiment our constructions on compression and bend. We divide our samples on few series which were different one from another by type of glue connection. In some constructions we don't have any one type of glutinous connection, but in another we have some type of adhesive. We use acrylic adhesive, which contains three components: liquid polymer, hardener, and filler as quartz sand with some size. I remember 0.315 millimeters. And we produce two types of glue in such proportions which we can see in this table. And dimensions of samples we can see in this table too. All researches, we create scheme of researches. We provide experimental researches on three types of samples, and then we produce theoretical calculations using different theories and modern and national documents, and decide that the most difficult part of calculations of such type of constructions is to describe glutinous connection, describe adhesive using different equations. It was the most difficult part in all theories, because according to Eurocode, according to national Ukrainian and Eastern Europe documents, we talk about ensuring work of steel and concrete on every stage of loading, but we can't describe third layer in this construction as polymer, because polymer adhesive we can put in this construction getting some thickness over this. It can be or 3 millimeters or 5 millimeters, or in some constructions we tried, we put more than 10 millimeters, and it's very important to joint work over two different types of materials, steel and concrete. But we add third, one more type of material. It's polymer. And it was difficult to take into account work of this material when it's staying between steel and concrete. And it's a very difficult for calculation step. And we now try fight with this problem on this stage when we have very thick layer of polymer. You can see on photo column, double T column with cavities filled with concrete. And in this way, liquid concrete were glued, were adhesive to steel part. The most important to us was check work of profiled flooring slab, because we don't use any addition reinforcement in this way. We want to see on each stage, every stage of working steel and concrete without any reinforcement. In this slab, we have only profiled flooring, steel profiled flooring, and concrete block. And in time of producing, we put layer of glue equal 3 millimeters on profiled flooring, and then we in 30 minutes we add liquid concrete to this slab, and after hardening of 28 days we try destroy this construction using such installation, because it was very difficult put this construction in some mechanical press machine, because we can find such, and we need to produce some new installation for crashing of this type of construction. And we get, I will show you very good result for this gluing. We used some strain gags for measuring of deformations depending from load, and we can see that on each stage of loading, concrete and steel part working together on each stage, and glutinous connection work even when we gluing liquid concrete to steel reinforcement, and we try to prove that we can use this method of gathering work of steel and concrete in steel concrete composite structures. As shown to us results, if we talk about short columns, C0, it's column without glue connection. C1, it's a bearing capacity of column with adhesive without filler, and this the most useful for such type of connection, type of polymer, one part of acrylic, one part of hardener, and two parts of filler. And the most good results we get with this type of glue. In plates, we can see that in this case work only profiled decking, and this number of bearing capacity equal to capacity of just profiled flooring. In this case, we can see that we have some effect of glue, and in this case, we can see that on every stage of loading, our profiled decking with concrete work even to final crashing of construction. And type of crashing you can see on these photos. On this slide, we can see how change deflection of this slab, and on samples P0 and P1, we can see that to one stage deflection increase slowly, and after moment of crashing connection between steel and concrete, worked only steel reinforcement. But in sample P2, we can see that and concrete and steel work even to final crashing of construction. and it was a very good result. And we think that we can prove using these results that we can produce steel concrete composite structures using glutinous connection of steel reinforcement and liquid concrete. We provide some calculations to check can we check bearing capacity of this construction using traditional types of calculations and to try to find some new type of some new method for calculations which can take into account third layer of material, polymer characteristics of polymer. And we find such method. It calls method of compound rods, which was created by my colleague from our university almost 60 years ago, and it was forgotten, but we try to use it and get some results. My older colleagues, my more experienced colleagues used this method for calculations and checking bearing capacity of these elements, and we get such results. And when we have optimal ratio over our glue, we have and good results for theoretical calculations. But if we use glue with not maximal quality, with not optimal ratio of components, and we can see that calculations give very big divergence between theoretical and practical calculations. And using these researches, we can make few conclusions that at all stages of loading structures with glue connection of steel and concrete with help of acrylic glue with filler, the compatible work is ensured. Detachment and loss of local stability steel elements was observed only at the moment of destruction. This our suggesting for these structures are reliable in work and operation, and proposed method application of ensuring the steel and concrete joint work by gluing an effective and promising type of connection of components of load-bearing structures in various fields of construction.
I apologize. You have to come for the conclusion, please.
Okay, 30 seconds, please. Main conclusion is that we can use for such type of construction, such method of ensuring work of steel and concrete. But one more thing, we check our constructions only for short-term loads. But very big work wait for us in future. We need to check our constructions on long-term load, on vibrations, and on fire and temperature resistance. It's main questions which we interesting to check in future. Thank you for your attention. I'm finished.
Thank you for your presentation. We can have the discussion now. I, of course, read your paper as well in the proceedings. I have a couple of small questions. Maybe I can start and other people can join. So you correctly mentioned that there are some questions very important to clear up. First of all, the temperature influence. Long-term influence and vibrations. The temperature influence is, however, is very, very important, because this is typically for buildings, this application, where we normally need 60 minutes of fire resistance. My first question, and probably the most difficult question now, what do you guess at the fire resistance of this system, because the heat, the heat comes from the steel side, unfortunately.
One slab we left on outer space in the yard, and it near our laboratory stay in the yard during 2 years. During 2 years, and it was under snow, it was under sun bright, it was under rain, with water, with freezing, with unfreezing, and when we check this slab, it was almost miracle, but bearing capacity of the slab were increased on 15–20% comparing with another slabs which we destroy in which we.
No, sorry, I mean the high temperatures, not low temperatures. Temperatures up to or more than 500 degrees centigrade.
On this stage, we only produce 3 series of slabs, and we will check these slabs on extremal temperatures, like in fire period,
Okay.
with open fire, with acting on them open fire, like in fire.
Yes, thank you. So please do it. Some small questions. So we speak about force transfer in longitudinal horizontal direction, and there was one of the last photos. There was a slab with a separation, is the delamination in the middle. So we have to speak about force transfer transverse as well. Do you have an experience? So force transfer parallel to the steel and force transfer perpendicular to the steel. In this case, for example, the filler size could be very important. So do you have an opinion about these transverse stresses?
If we try to get how I understand, you talk about moving of concrete
Yes.
block separate with the steel concrete. In this case, when we talk about profiled flooring, we can use profiled flooring with stamping, with stamps, not with the very clear surface, but surface with some stamping. And in this case, area of connection between steel and concrete will be bigger. And in this case, sliding of concrete block with steel concrete in longitudinal direction and in perpendicular direction, I think it will be not so big.
Okay. Yes, we have 4 minutes more. Any questions from the co-chairs or anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexander, for your very nice presentation. Very nice subject. I have just to start. I have just 2 advice for you. You have to make the number of the slides. There is no numbering of your slides, and it's very difficult then to.
Sorry.
And also the diagram, keep it in 2D diagram, because you put it in 3D, but there is no need, in fact, to make your diagram. Some diagram are in 3D, but if there is no need to show something, I think 2D diagram are enough. About the question, I'm wondering if you know, the paramount of reinforced concrete is to have a perfect adhesion between steel and concrete, naturally. But if you have a smooth surface, I understand that if you put a glue, you can increase the performance. but why you have you an idea about if you have a rough surface, is that the adhesive, the glue increase the performance if you have a rough surface?
We checked and clear surface and smooth surface. We using some abrasives to create not so perfect surface for increasing surface of adhesive, and it's if we put it's very important thickness of layer, because characteristics of acrylic polymer closer to steel, they and bearing capacity and deformations between concrete and steel, and acrylic layer can be like additional reinforcement for steel concrete composite structure. And one more thing, it's very expensive, and we can't put very thick layer over this. That's why we use it only for creating better adhesive between concrete and between steel. And if we use not clear surface, we use it for better adhesive between steel and liquid and acrylic adhesive, because
Yes.
acrylic glue has good adhesive with concrete, but not good adhesive with clear steel surface. That's why.
I have a last question. How you manage the compatibility between the glue and the concrete? Which means we can use any concrete for any glue, or how you manage that, how you ensure that there is a compatibility between your concrete, between the mixed proportioning of your concrete and the type of glue?
Before this final experiment, we have more experiments with connection of different types of concrete and different types of glues. It was previous research. I hope in future I will show this experiment. We provide small cubes, 10 centimeters on 10 centimeters, with different types of concrete and parts of steel with different type of surface. And we use different thickness of adhesive, of glue, and we provide such experiment during more than 1 year, and we check that this type of adhesive and type of concrete, this type of concrete, best of all for this type of constructions. But as a rule, you can use any type of concrete. Main, it's type of adhesive. Adhesive more important in this way.
Okay, thank you for the precision. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. To show that the audience is allowed to ask, even if we are ready with the presentation discussion, I should give one question from the audience. Was concrete casted in liquid stage? This is the question. If so, was glue applied in the steel prior to pouring? This is the question, please, from the audience.
Sorry, but I don't understand. What does it mean, casted in liquid stage?
Liquid stage. So you mentioned that at the beginning. So concrete was cast on the top of the steel, and the glue was already applied. I suppose.
Okay, we have a steel surface. Then we put liquid glue on this surface. In a period, it's closer to 30-45 minutes. In this period, then we put on liquid glue, liquid concrete. And we have some chemistry reaction between glue and between concrete, and get connection between liquid and concrete, which we can get such adhesive we can get using clear steel surface and just only concrete.
Yes, Thank you. So this is a very interesting research. We wish you a good success with your PhD, as well the application for this. Of course, there are still questions, but you will answer later these questions with your research. Thank you for the presentation.